Hello, friends. I am the man with no identity, the man formerly known as John Henderson.
Welcome to the Theater of Thrills.
We continue with our ongoing story right after a murder. The police are doing all they can to find the murderer. Meanwhile, Henry Jekyll is ill, or mad, or guilty. We continue now with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Enjoy.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now present George Edwards in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Now, would you tell us, Dr. Jekyll, everything you know about this man Hyde?
I don't know very much, Inspector.
But you've known him for a number of years.
Yes, that's true.
When did you meet him first?
Well, you see, it's difficult to remember offhand, but, well, I'd say I made my first acquaintance with him about, 5 years ago.
How did you meet him?
Well, he read about some of my experiments in a medical journal. He came here and made himself known to me.
Why was that? Was he a medical man?
Oh, no, far from it. But he was very interested. He had a lot of knowledge for a layman.
And you were so impressed with him that you let him help you at times?
Yes, that's right.
What was he interested in particularly?
Well, for a very long time, I've been searching for a drug that would have a certain effect on the will. He used to let me experiment on him.
Oh, how do you mean?
Well, he used to take doses of the mixtures I'd compound and allow me to watch the results.
Oh, rather dangerous, wasn't it?
Very dangerous. I warned him that he did it absolutely at his own risk. I've got papers in my laboratory in which he made a full statement that he knew what he was doing and that I was in no way to be held responsible for anything that might happen.
Well, he must have had plenty of nerve.
Well, he certainly had that.
And what was the result of these experiments? Did any of them come off?
None. We met with total failure. At the time of his disappearance, we were starting on a new line, but hadn't really gone far enough to find anything fresh.
How often did you see him?
Oh, that's hard to say. Sometimes he'd be here pretty constantly, and sometimes he'd disappear for weeks.
And you say you have no idea where he went?
None at all. He hated to be questioned, and so I didn't ask. Of course, my interest in him was purely scientific.
And what about this girl, this Hetty Wilson? Did he ever speak to you about her?
Never. I didn't even know of her existence until a few weeks before she died.
And how did you hear about her then?
When my father died, I was away on the continent. I hadn't left any address, and Dr. Lanyon went down to Hyde's house to see if he knew where I could be found. He met Hetty Wilson then and told me about her later on.
I see. And how did it happen that Dr. Lanyon knew Hyde's address?
Well, we were old friends. He knows all I do. I told him about Hyde and the work we were doing together.
Well, that seems reasonable enough.
Look here, Inspector. What are you driving at? Why shouldn't I know where Hyde lived?
Oh, no reason at all, Dr. Lanyon. But so very few people did. I was naturally curious.
I see. Well, are there any other questions, Inspector?
Did he never tell you anything about his private life? Where he got his money from, or where he went to when you didn't see him?
Well, I've told you, my interest was scientific. I didn't like him. I didn't want to know how he lived or what he did. He was useful to me and gave me a lot of help.
But he had the run of your house, used to be here at all sorts of times. Once he slept in your bed.
What's that? Who told you that?
One of your servants. A maid who was dismissed for trying to see into your laboratory.
That girl?
Yes. She told me that she'd gone into your room with your early morning tea and was horrified to see Hyde lying in your bed.
And what if he was? The man risked his life again and again for the sake of my experiments. We often worked late into the night.
Yes, that's quite understandable. All I'm trying to get at, sir, is this. That you were on pretty close terms with him.
But I repeat that I know nothing about his private life. Nothing at all.
Well, if that's the case, I'm afraid I'm not much further on than before. I'm sorry to have troubled you, Doctor.
Oh, that's quite all right. I'm sorry to have been so little help.
Yes, it's a bit of a blow to me. I'd counted rather a lot on what you could tell me. You're the only one who seems to have ever had anything to do with him, except that girl, Hetty. I'd give a lot to know just why she killed herself. Shielding someone, I'll be bound.
And, you've no idea who it might be?
Not a notion. If I had, I might be able to track down Hyde. Well, I'll not stop till I do. The man's a maniac. He's bound to break out again unless he's caught. His kind don't stop at one murder.
Why, Henry.
Dr. Jekyll, what's the matter?
It's all right. Just leave me alone with him. He's not well, you know. He'll be all right in a little while.
Oh, I'm awfully sorry. Indeed I am.
And he'll be all right. Just leave me.
Yes, of course. I'll get in touch with you later on. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Now, take this, old man.
I'm all right.
Now, don't try to get up. Just take things easily. What was it? One of the dizzy turns?
Just a kind of blackness that comes over me at times.
Well, keep still and don't worry. Our friend has gone, and I don't think he'll be troubling you again. You were a great disappointment to him.
Yes, I hoped I was.
Dr. Jekyll.
Well, nurse, I thought I'd call in and give you a surprise.
Oh, you certainly have. Does Dr. Lanyon know you're here?
Not that I know of. Is he here?
Yes, he's with the outpatients now.
Then bring me a gown. I'll put it on and give him a hand. We might as well give him a shock, too.
Why, Dr. Jekyll?
Oh, what's the matter? Oh, yes. My hair. How do you like it?
It's as white as snow. Oh, you must have been ill.
Oh, well, it's all over now. I'm going to start work again, and we'll soon forget all about it.
Yes, I'm awfully glad to see you back again.
Why didn't you come and see me while I was ill?
You had plenty of others to look after you.
Didn't you think I might have wanted to see you and hear about your clinic?
Hear about the clinic, maybe, but I don't flatter myself you wanted to see me.
Why not?
Oh, I did call once or twice, but they always told me that Miss Utterson was with you.
I see. Surely that old jealousy doesn't exist anymore.
What makes you think that? Does it alter how I feel for you, just because I know I haven't got a hope?
Help me on with my gown, will you? Well, been kept pretty busy.
Oh, not more than usual. I think some of the patients have dropped off since you've been away.
Well, perhaps I'd better keep away altogether, and they might all get well.
Oh, when you've seen the number in the outpatients room, you won't think that.
Well, come along, then. Let's get going. Hello, little girl. What's the matter with you?
One of her legs is shorter than the other, Doctor. We've heard wonderful things about you, and we wondered if you could do anything for it.
Let me have a look at it. Now, don't be frightened. I won't hurt. I just want to take your boots and stockings off so that I can have a good look. Now, tell me, what's your name?
Tessie, sir.
Tessie. That's a pretty name. How old are you?
I'm 9, sir.
9? Do you go to school?
Yes, sir. I'm in 4th class.
Well, 4th class. Fancy that. That's pretty good for 9 years old. Now, come along. Can you stand up over there and let me see how you walk?
Do as the doctor tells you, Tess.
Yes, Mother.
Did she have some sort of accident? That looks like the result of an injury to me.
Oh, yes, she did about 2 years ago.
Oh, I see. Why, what happened?
Oh, it was a terrible thing, Doctor. The poor little thing was running along the street one time late at night. She'd been for a doctor, and you'll hardly believe this, sir, but a fella took to her with a stick. Beat her something terrible, he did. And if it hadn't been for 2 other gentlemen who was near, I think he would have killed her.
What happened? Did you hand him over to the police?
No. He paid us £100 to say nothing. But I can see now that we did wrong. We didn't think he'd done her so much harm. But look at her. She's maimed for life.
Mummy.
There, dear. Now, never you mind. The kind doctor will make you better again. Oh, I didn't ought to have told you this in front of her, sir. She gets that upset to hear it. She's never been the same child since. The fright half killed her.
Have you any idea who the man was?
No, not for certain. I never seen him myself. But they do say, sir, that it's him that done that murder a little while ago. That fella, Edward Hyde. Oh, sir, can you help her?
Yes.
Well, you see, Doctor, her hip was injured. She was in the hospital for ages, and when she came out, she had to walk on crutches. It wasn't for a good while afterwards that we began to notice that one leg seemed shorter than the other.
Poor little Tess. It's not fair, is it? Never mind. We'll fix you up again. One day you'll be able to run round just like all the other children.
Oh, will she really, sir?
Oh, I think so. But it'll take time, and Tess will have to have a lot of patience.
Oh, she won't be any trouble to you, Doctor. She's not the least bit of bother.
No, I'm sure she's not. Now, just you wait there a minute, and I'll call Dr. Lanyon in to let him have a look at this leg of yours and see what he thinks. Hugh, can you spare me a minute?
Yes, coming.
Tess, would you like to go to the country for a while and get really well and strong before we start fixing this old leg of yours up?
The country? Oh, do you really mean it, sir?
Of course I do. There's a place I know of where quite a lot of people go to get cured. It's the most beautiful place you can imagine. Big trees, gardens full of flowers, fresh cream and milk, and all the sunshine you could wish for.
It sounds like heaven, sir.
Well, it's not as far away as that. You'll just have to take a train, and in a few hours you'll be getting out at a little station, and then you'll find someone waiting to meet you, and you'll get into a little dog cart drawn by a fat horse called King. The groom might even let you hold the reins for a while as you drive along.
Would he?
I wouldn't be surprised. And, by the by, you'll come to the big gates leading to the park, and after you've gone through, you'll see a fallow deer grazing on the grass, and all sorts of birds and little rabbits.
Oh, mister, this ain't true. It's just a fairy story you're telling me, isn't it?
No, little Tess, it's true. As true as I'm going to make you well again if it takes me years to do so. Oh, here's Dr. Lanyon now.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
That's quite all right. Come here and meet Tessie and her mother. Tessie had an accident. It's made her a little lame. Now, Tess, walk across the room, will you, dear? Let Dr. Lanyon see the way you walk.
Contraction of the femur. What happened? Did you have a fall?
No, sir. It was the way she was knocked about.
Knocked about? What do you mean?
A man knocked her down in the street and beat her and trampled on her. They say it was that Edward Hyde who done the murder a while ago.
Edward Hyde. How do you know?
Some of the neighbors seen him, and they say the description's just the same. Small and ugly and sort of deformed. You couldn't mistake him.
Edward Hyde. Are we never to be free from this devil's work?
Well, at least we can do what we can to set it right. We'll start with Tess, and then I'm going to try and find the other people who's been injured and do what I can for them.
From what I can hear of him, we'll have a task beyond the power of one man.
If one man can do the evil, surely another can undo it. At least let me try.
Henry, don't you think we ought to call it a day? It's close on 5 o'clock, you know.
Is it? I had no idea it was so late. I've just got 1 or 2 more cases to attend to, and then I'll be through.
Don't overdo things.
I won't. What are you doing tonight? Care to come and have dinner with me?
I won't tonight, if you don't mind. Well, I'm taking Nancy out, as a matter of fact.
Nancy? Well, that's a good idea.
I think it is, too.
So you found something to reward you for all the hard work you put it down here while I've been sick.
She's a nice girl, isn't she?
Nice? She's one of the nicest I've ever met.
That's what I thought, right from the first time I met her.
Well, I'll be hanged. And here have I been thinking you've been so self-sacrificing, coming down here day after day with never a murmur, and all the while this is what you've been up to.
Well, if you will have such a pretty, intelligent girl working in your dispensary...
Asking for complications, isn't it? Well, I'm delighted. Go to it, old boy. I didn't think you had so much good sense.
She won't hear of giving up her work here, so you'll have to take me into permanent partnership.
Are you serious? Will you really come down here and work amongst these people?
If you'll have me.
Have you? Oh, I should say I would. I've had to turn hundreds away in the past because I couldn't attend to them. We'll do marvels down here together.
It's a go, then. From now on, we double our practice and double our responsibilities.
That's all you'll get out of it. There's no reward besides the satisfaction of having helped someone. The rest is hard work and a lot of worry.
Oh, you're forgetting Nancy.
Oh, yes, so I was. Well, I can see her waiting for you out there. Off you go. Give her my love, will you?
I say, isn't that asking just a little bit too much? With that romantic-looking head of snow-white hair, you're irresistible, you know.
Clear out, or I'll throw this dish of disinfectant over you.
All right.
Isn't it time you were going home, Doctor?
Oh, hello, nurse. I didn't see you there. I was wondering where you'd got to.
I was doing the last of the sterilizing.
But we haven't finished for the day. What about that man and woman I noticed in the waiting room?
Oh, neither of them was urgent. I told them to come back in the morning.
You did, eh? And who are you, Nurse Peters, to go giving instructions in this clinic?
If you can't tell when you've had enough, it's time someone else started to give orders. We've only just got you back again after nearly 3 months' illness. It's not going to happen a second time.
Oh, it won't. I promise you that.
You know, if you insist on working 12 and 14 hours a day like you did before, it will.
Don't look so severe. Anyhow, you've been neglecting me. What about my afternoon tea?
Neglecting you? Didn't I have it ready at 4 o'clock and no one to drink it?
4 o'clock? What was I doing then?
You got a call to go to Mrs. Prentice, and off you went.
Just got there in time, too. Why these women will leave everything to the last minute, I can't understand.
What was it?
Boy, weighed nearly 8 pounds. How do they do it on the rotten food they eat? You might call in and see if she's all right if you're passing on your way home.
She'll be all right. It's her 5th, isn't it?
I've lost count.
She will have, too, in another few years.
Well, what about tea?
You want it now?
Of course. Don't you think I deserve it?
If you got what you deserved, it would be more than a cup of tea, Doctor.
Anyway, we'll start with that. Now, how about strawberry jam? Any left?
I put it all away. Not a single jar has been touched since you've been ill.
Suppose I had never come back. Would you have buried it with me?
Oh, don't.
But it's quite a good idea. The Chinese do, you know, to provide for the spirit world. But perhaps I wouldn't have gone to the place where food seems very important.
I wish you wouldn't talk that way.
Why? Oh, come on, Pete. I haven't seen you smile for hours. What's the matter with you? Aren't you glad to see me back again?
I don't know why you tease me so. You know I'm glad. And just how glad.
All right. I'm sorry. Well, take me into your little office and brew me some tea, and I'll sit in the old chair and let you fuss around me, just as though I'd never been away.
And just as though you won't be getting up and leaving in a little while and going off to your friends and your big house, and I'll be going in the other direction, to my bare little room and a solitary meal on the end of a table.
Pete, why do you do it?
Do what?
Stick to that sort of life? You could have something so much better.
What, for example?
How about that chap who went to Canada? You still hear from him, don't you?
I do.
Well.
Why don't I go out and marry him, you mean? Didn't I make that clear to you a long while ago?
Oh, but that's just madness, Pete.
I know it is. But what am I going to do? Would it be fair to marry him when I feel the way I do about you?
You'll forget about me.
Do you think so? It's funny, isn't it, the way we're talking? You know, women aren't supposed to say these things to men.
Oh? Why not?
Oh, it isn't maidenly. I'm supposed to pine away in silence and end up with a hacking cough and a bunch of lilies on my chest.
Oh, I say. Oh, not you. You'll end up with a double chin and half a dozen children.
Oh, how can you laugh at me? I know I'm plain and I know I'm scrawny and not the kind of woman you'd look at. But you needn't think I can't feel deeply for all that.
Oh, Pete. Pete, my dear, I wasn't laughing at you. Can't you take a joke? It's just that I can't imagine you ever pining away.
And it's just that you can't imagine me as anything but Peters, the nurse. A mass of starched uniforms and smelling of antiseptic soap. If I had the clothes and background and all the rest of the things that Margaret Utterson has, I'd be just as good as her. I shouldn't have said that. Don't take any notice of me, Henry. Please forgive me.
It's all right, Pete. I'm not cross.
It's just that it seems so unfair. She has everything. I haven't got a thing. I haven't even got any pride.
Oh, Pete, what makes you say that?
I throw myself at you. Tell you just exactly how I feel. I don't blame you if you despise me.
Despise you? I'd never do that. I know the thing you give me is too precious and too good ever to be despised. It means a great deal to me, Pete, dear. Even though I do nothing about it.
Well, there's a kettle boiling. I'll make the tea and then we'll get back to normal. You know, there's nothing like a cup of tea to restore one's sense of values.
And there's nothing like a talk with you to restore mine. These half hours at the end of a hard day mean a lot to me, you know.
Do they?
Yes.
Do they really? If I could only feel that I was necessary to you. You know, the one thing a woman can't stand up to is to feel that the man she loves can get on just as well without her. It sort of kills her deep inside.
Then you needn't ever die that way, Pete. I don't think I could get on very well without you. And I'm going to need you a whole lot more in a little while. Now, pour me out that tea, and then I'll take you home.